Hey everybody, welcome to Geeky KOOL presents Geeky Cinephiles. This is our very first episode. This over here is Joe, and I'm Larry, also known as the Professor. We we have called ourselves Geeky Cinephiles because the word cinephile means you love movies, and that's who we are. We enjoy movies, and we want to talk some movies. So this whole podcast is about our love for movies, and sometimes maybe we don't love a movie as much as somebody else also, but we love to talk about movies. So we're not movie critics. We aren't getting paid by your newspaper to go out and see the movies and criticize them. We're just going to give you what a couple of guys who love watching movies think. We may have some other people join us eventually on this podcast. I know that AJ, who does another podcast with me, she is interested in coming in at some point. So she'll probably join in with us and we'll have a three-way talk about some movies. But for tonight, it's Joe and me. So we're going to talk about our very first movie on the list, which is a sequel. And it's aptly named Gladiator 2. Not anything extra with it, just Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
Kind of like Rocky 2, right? It's just what it is there. So
Yeah. No need to get fancy.
right. Don't have to get fancy. This is what it is. It's a sequel. Maybe retelling sort of and so we're going to talk about what we think. Joe, let's talk about some things you liked and some things you didn't like about it. And then at the end, we'll give kind of letter grades on kind of what we thought about that movie. But
Okay.
to jump off on it, so probably a vast majority of people that are into movies really liked the first Gladiator movie back in the early 2000s. Thought it was great. It was directed by Ridley Scott, who directed Aliens and many other movies. So, but you didn't have that same feeling with the first one. Your thoughts on it. Tell us a little bit about what you thought about the first one, so we understand going into the second one, kind of what you have going on with that.
Well, I just rewatched it. I rewatched it. I bought the first one like 2 weeks ago. I remember being really tired when I was in the theaters, and I don't know why, but I could not keep my eyes open. I fell asleep. I'd wake up, and then fall asleep again. And I never fall asleep in movies. So, um, I don't know. To me, it seemed maybe it was that boring that it just wore me out.
Right.
But yeah, it's well respected as a great cinematic movie. Um, I don't know. I think it's just fine. I didn't think it was amazing. I didn't think it was terrible. I was just fine.
It did it move up to just fine after rewatching it? Is that what it did? Because I know you kind of almost had a disdain for it at one point, right?
Yeah. It was. There was a lot of those epic films coming out at those times. Everybody was
Yeah,
trying to do Troy and all
right,
these. But yeah, what I liked about it was Russell Crowe was great. Um,
right.
the choreography is awesome. The
It
battle
is.
scenes. It's Ridley Scott. You can't go wrong with Ridley Scott.
Right. Exactly. But
Yeah,
the plot just wasn't really for you in the first one so much.
yeah.
So what in the second one, did you like? Because I know we don't have Russell Crowe in this one. At least, well, then a flashback, I think.
Yeah.
And we still have Ridley Scott is still directing. But what did you like about this one?
Denzel.
Well, it's hard to go wrong with Denzel Washington, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he plays such an interesting character because you don't really know what he's going to do, and his motivations are very twisted. But basically, he's the slave owner for the gladiator, or who becomes the gladiator for us in this movie. Lucius is so now, so he's in this movie in a lot of places, and we'll, let me give this here for you guys. This is a spoiler thing right here. So if you want to watch further and you've not seen Gladiator 2 and
Turn
you
it
don't
off.
want spoiled, come back to us. Please come back. but there's going to be spoilers in this. We're going to talk about plot points. We're going to talk about what happened. So in not necessarily every detail, but we're going to cover some of that. So if you don't want spoilers, don't cry to us about spoilers.
That's right.
The movie's been out long enough. You can see it, or you can go watch it. It's on Paramount. You can go watch it on Paramount if you've got a Paramount Plus subscription. So you can go check it out there, or many other ways you can do that. So
it came out so quickly. I feel like
maybe it did. But no, I agree. It didn't seem like it did a lot of time in the box office. Now, a lot of movies feel that way to me nowadays. It seems like movies are in the theater and out very quickly. Some movies. I remember in the 80s, there'd be movies that would be in the theater for 5 or 6 weeks and all suddenly catch fire. It's like, oh, people just now started realizing what this movie is and started flocking to it. But we don't have that opportunity. Basically, if it doesn't score big at the box office first couple weekends, it's pretty much gone quickly thereafter. So
yeah, it's crazy how the industry's changed that much.
It is.
Kind of like the music industry.
Very much like the music industry. Other than music industry used to have talents.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry.
What did you watch the halftime show?
Oh, yeah, I watched that.
What'd you think?
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. There's some rap music that I like 80s rap music. Give me some give me Run DMC, give me Salt and Pepper, give me LL Cool J. I'm all good with that. I didn't understand it as well, but I also went back and it wasn't designed for a show for me. I missed the days where they were bringing out Michael Jackson and Prince in the halftime shows, Madonna in the halftime shows, because those were designed for me. This one wasn't, and that's okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible. Didn't think it was the worst one I've seen lately, but it definitely wasn't the best one, in my opinion. And I know there's people that loved it, and good. I'm glad, because it probably was meant for you, so that's great. My son enjoyed it more than I did.
Yeah, my daughter did too.
My wife was complaining the whole time about it. It was funny because I'm like, all right, but yes, but I'm on the line that believes. Well, I think there is still different talent in the music industry, but I think a lot of it's masked and a lot of times it's mass produced. And I think the more popular music, it's harder to have talent and shine because of the way they do things. Where some of the less popular genres, which is weird for me to say because rock is a very low volume as far as popularity genre right now. And growing up, rock and pop, that was it. And it intermingled so much. And now, and now I tell people, I say, oh yeah, Hailstorm, Lizzie Hale. They have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, oh, okay. So probably one of the, I'm like, do you know Pretty Reckless? Nope. Okay, so you don't know what's going on in the rock scene. Okay, let's move on. Do you know Shinedown? Okay, all right. Well, so anyway, but it's interesting. Here I'm rambling about this when we're supposed to be talking about Gladiator.
Hey, that's my fault. I got you. I got sidetracked.
It's all right. I get sidetracked easily. It's all good.
Me too.
So anyway, but back to Gladiator 2. So you like Denzel, and Denzel's character is really interesting. I thought it was, I wasn't sure about how they spun it to the ending with him, because I'm like, I get it, but I didn't. I really thought more his character would kind of get ostracized or something like that. I didn't actually expect a fight there at the end with him. So
yeah, it felt like there was several storylines going on there, and it was hard to figure out where Denzel fit versus the Emperor. Yeah.
Well, and he kind of goes from being a guy where you're like, well, is he going to be a good guy, to when he rats out the rebellion to the emperors. And I'll say, I like the emperors, the twin brother emperors who were crazy. I actually really enjoyed that. I'm like, okay,
They play it well.
they played it very well. I'm not sure historically any of that measured with it, but I know that some of the emperors they would get that much power and get really kind of deranged and do their own thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that may be accurate. There may have been a point where twin brothers co-ruled the empire, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I didn't understand. So Lucius helped one brother kill the other one, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that for power? Or is that because one of them wanted power?
It was for power.
Well, I got lost in that one.
It was Lucius is the gladiator, is the son of the original gladiator.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Denzel's character.
Yeah,
Denzel's.
Macrinus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, he basically made things happen in a way where one of the emperor brothers would kill the other one, and that way things were unstable. I think he was trying to set himself up for one, at the very least, he was the right hand man of the emperor for that point. And if for nothing else, I think he was setting up the other emperor to take a fall, and hopefully he was going to get set up to be in charge after that. It's kind of what I took it as. But there were a lot of things going on in the plot that I didn't really understand some of the motivation of.
Like what?
Well, what was the motivation of the ending fight? What was the motivation to betray? Well, I get the motivation to betray the rebellion was there to try to gain power there, but it was just when things are happening, I'm like, well, that's an interesting twist. Lucius's part, like halfway through the movie, I thought he had no idea that he was related to Maximus.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm like, okay, so he honestly doesn't know. They sent him away at a young age, and he doesn't know that he's the son of Maximus. And then all of a sudden, nope, he only knows, but he's angry at how people are treating him with it. And I'm like, I thought you didn't know. Of course, at first I didn't think you could talk, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. Did he? Man, I didn't think he. I didn't understand why he was mad. I mean,
right.
I don't think the movie did a good job of explaining that.
Now, I felt the same way. I didn't really understand. Now, what I gathered was he was sent away as a little kid out of fear of being killed by the next incoming emperor.
Yeah.
And so he was sent away because his father was killed, so somebody could come in and be Caesar and gain the power.
Mm.
And they hid him away so he wouldn't be killed. Understood that. But he was a little kid, but I didn't understand why was he angry, other than being angry because his wife got killed in the very first scene of the movie, right? And I'll say that to me was the essence of cool, that sea battle where the Roman ships come right up against the wall.
It was
and that fight, and they're blowing up, they're throwing things at the ships, catching them on fire, and everybody's stormtrooping. That was a cool scene. To me, that was the highlight of the whole movie. I was like, okay, you have me with this opening scene. I'm like, all right, that was amazing. Right there, it's made it worth my time to watch just for that opening cool fight scene.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So
where did the bionic monkeys come from, though?
That's a great question.
They're like on steroids, like Italian steroids or something?
They're baboons.
Okay.
But because I did go and I'm like, what was that? It's like these angry, baboons that are killing people. And I'm like, I've never seen a baboon do that, nor have I seen them look this way. Now, I know over time, like cattle, cattle from this time frame look very different than the cattle that we have today because of the way we bred them and everything else.
Oh,
They just look very different. Cattle back in medieval times and back during the Roman Empire times were not as beefy as they are now. They were smaller in stature and much more hairy than they are now.
interesting.
And that's been bred out of them to be bigger to get more beef product.
Yeah.
The things we talk about on the show already. Wow.
Wow. Yeah. How do you know? How do you know that too?
I did research on it at some
Yeah.
point or
Okay.
something.
Nice.
It was actually shown in one of the movies. It goes back to a movie. A movie made a reference to it. And so I
Yeah.
went out and researched it because I have a habit of rabbit trailing things.
Yeah.
Thank God for Google, so I can spend all my time rabbit trailing different places. So, but I'm assuming maybe baboons were more aggressive in the past. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
don't. Were they starving? Were they? What would make them attack somebody like that? I thought the baboons was, without explaining it, they just put these things. I'm like, holy crap, what are those things? So we get
Yeah.
the big battle scene. The next big fight scene goes to Lucius and some other men who were captured. So there was the Roman army comes in, captures an area, and I've got it listed here what area it was, and then that Numidia.
Is that? Yeah. Is that
That was
accurate? Is
where
that?
that was the region that Lucius was living in, and he was known as something else there. So he had no connection to Rome at that point until the Roman Empire's army came in and took over where he was living, where they had sent him off to be safe,
Yeah.
and then kill his wife, who was a warrior. I mean, her body is seen floating in the ocean shortly thereafter, and she gets killed by an arrow. Really quick, first few minutes of the movie, which I understand he would be angry because his wife got killed by the Romans, and they're just not leaving him alone. But I don't know. But yeah,
They
the
were.
baboons really kind of made me go, "What am I watching? That's weird."
Well, and is this the age of arrows? Because it feels like everybody got killed by arrows. I don't
It
know
would have been, yeah.
if the first one, I can't remember what the most common one was, but I want it there. Yeah. And it was a little bit frustrating too when, I mean, this guy had his wife die in front of him, and then Pedro Pascal gets shot with
Right, right.
right in front of him, and then his mom right in front of him. It's
Right,
like,
right,
ah,
right. Yeah,
come on, let's do
people
something
keep getting
different.
killed right in front of them,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah. Pedro Pascal plays General Acacius, who is the
Yeah.
leader who goes in and takes the Navy fleet basically over and takes over this place that Lucius is at, and
Yeah.
then um, basically all of these people that were fighting in the armies that stood against him were taken into slavery for the Romans, and some of them were made into gladiators, such as Lucius, which is funny because it's like, oh, just like his father. How about that? What would you know about that? And they don't reveal until halfway through the movie that that's who his father is, but you kind of, it's a sequel, so you suspect there's some sort of connection there. But it doesn't really say. And at first, they made it sound like he really couldn't even speak the Roman language.
Yeah.
So, and then he speaks it very well, which was just, it was interesting. There were just things that happened where I'm like, was he just acting? Was he an actor? But he's the thespian. He's not a gladiator. He's a thespian. Who
Yeah.
knew?
Yeah. It doesn't feel like they gave a lot of the
No,
motivations of the characters. They didn't really provide
no.
motivation. You know why his mom is upset, obviously,
Right, right.
but yeah, it was very just it was too similar for me. For
Well, and his mom saw her husband die and then sent him away to protect him. And then he's drugged back as a captive and then made a gladiator. But yeah, I read one review that said it reminded them of how The Force Awakens kind of redoes the original Star Wars,
Yeah.
and it's a different story, but the beats of the story are pretty much the same. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I can see that. That's a fair criticism. Because there was a lot of similarities. Now, if you're gonna have a gladiator movie, you know what I meant to do? I totally
What?
meant to do this, Joe. I meant to get the clip from Airplane and play here.
Oh yeah.
So tell me, Timmy, have you ever seen a gladiator movie? That would have been perfect. I meant to do that.
Oh, what a bit.
Totally zoned it. When we first started talking about doing Gladiator 2, that was my thought was to play that because that would have been perfect.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
Oh yeah.
Next time.
Next time we'll work on that next time.
We'll
By the
do
way,
Gladiator 1 next time.
if you're watching out there live, because I know this is being streamed live on YouTube and Facebook, if you're out there watching this, feel free to drop a comment in for us. We will put your comment up and talk about it. So, and for those that want to know, we are trying to keep this about 30 minutes or so. That way it doesn't get too long-winded because it's easy to do, especially when we like to talk, especially me.
Amen.
So okay. Well, what did you not like about this movie in particular, Joe? What other than maybe the baboons, which are unexplainable there.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was
back
weird.
back to the baboons. It's almost like the first one had too many lions or something in it. And they said,
Yeah.
we can't do lions again. So let's throw some beefed up baboons.
You beat the baboons and sharks.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
How do you get sharks into the Colosseum? I know historically they flooded the Colosseum. They did that, and that was a thing that happened, and they would have naval battles there. But sharks, how do you get sharks in there? Why do you transport them? I don't understand.
They built roads and reservoirs and all kinds of. They were the.
That's true, but how do you got to keep them in water? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, amen.
So go ahead. So yeah,
okay.
Yes, too many not enough. Too many lines in the first one. Yes.
What did I like? I thought the camera work was great. It was really good. The violence was. I'm not saying I approve of violence or condemn it, but I think it was the right amount. It didn't overdo it like some of those movies have done, and I think they did it okay in this one. It was a good cast.
Yeah.
I wonder if this guy now is meant to be like a superstar now, superstar actor. Because was Russell Crowe, when Gladiator came out, was he already big, or did Gladiator make him?
Gladiator really made him big. I mean, he was known for other roles, but Gladiator really amped him up to a higher level at that point.
Yeah. What setting did you watch it in?
I watched it at home, just in my man cave downstairs. Not really a man cave, but it's my family room. So I watched it there with my 65-inch screen TV. Is that what it is?
All in one sitting too?
No, actually, it ended up being split up because something happened, and I had to stop it about halfway through, and then come back the next day and watch it. I would have liked to watch the whole thing through, but at that point, I was like, "What is going on?" I'm kind of confused.
Well, it's almost 3 hours long too.
Yeah, and it's true. That is true. It is, which has become pretty normal. Now, I have to say, I've watched some of those movies from the late 80s and early 90s that are like 100 minutes long.
Yeah.
I wonder how we ever got our money's worth on anything at that point. Right?
I know, right?
Now, there are things that you can tell a good movie in that time frame, but a lot of times things feel rushed when it's that short. Now, things feel not so rushed when it's 3 hours. Sometimes it just drags, so you don't.
Yeah.
There's a balance there. Not everything needs to be Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. There's a lot of filmmakers that don't like. True filmmakers really want you to see it in the theaters because you're not interrupted.
Oh, no, true.
Flow, and
no, I agree.
get it. I understand because it feels like when I restart a movie, I'm never as into it as I was.
I totally get that. Yeah. Now, I will say for some of those filmmakers, they've been saved by things going to video because things that did not perform as well in theaters that do perform better on video sales, or
Yep.
back in the old days when it would go to HBO. I mean, there's a lot of things that has had that happen to where you're like, this movie is not successful, then all of a sudden it becomes very successful because of video sales.
Yeah.
So
What did you not like about it, or what did you like besides the sharks in the water scene?
I of course love the opening scene. I did enjoy. Of course, Denzel did do a fantastic job, and actually so did Pedro. Pedro did a fantastic job. Connie Nelson is Lucilia. She was an amazing actress.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So I enjoyed a lot of the actors. What threw me off most of the time, I think, was the plot and how they just didn't explain anything. So, and most of the time, I can watch a movie and I can see the plot coming a mile away, and I had a general idea what was going to happen.
Right.
But they just didn't explain enough to give enough information on why you would do that. I did love the Emperor brothers because they were crazy and did make me wonder, what are these two going to do? It reminded me of Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It really had that feel of like, these guys are crazy to a bad level, and they'll do anything there for you.
And did they wear, I mean, in real life, did they wear makeup to be paler, to be more pale, or?
Sometimes, yeah, that is true. There would be,
your royalty if you're pale.
There was a thought of that at one point. You needed to be pale, and usually helped if you were fat because that meant that you were eating very well.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I could be royalty. I'm pale and fat. So there we go. So, but what else did I like about the movie? It did keep in the line. It felt like a Gladiator movie. What I didn't like was it felt like it retreaded a lot of stuff. And then, as you said, it felt like they were forcing things with the baboons, the sharks, some of this other stuff. You're like, okay, how about letting them fight lions? How about letting them do what? I mean, the sea battle was cool. If you would have just left it at that without the sharks.
Yeah.
I mean, the sharks added something. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it threw me off because I'm like, how'd they get the sharks? I just don't.
Yeah.
How in Roman times did you get the sharks here? You don't have tanks at that point. How do you put them in the back of a wagon and keep pouring water on top of them? I don't know. So, all right. So the plot seemed to befuddle itself from the time. It just, I don't know if it was so deep. Ridley Scott wrote this thing so deep that I just don't get it. That's possible. But
yeah,
I mean, so I thought it was a fun ride. I enjoyed myself. Anytime you can get some fighting like that. And again, I like some violence in my movies. Sometimes you can have over the top crazy stuff with too much blood and gore and too much violence and chopping everybody's head off here and there or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan, but this was that good amount of violence to where you knew there was something exciting happening, but you're not panning away every time there was a death or something.
Yeah.
So
will you watch a Gladiator 3?
Oh.
Or will there be one?
Well, I don't know if there will be one because I don't know it did well enough in theaters. It also depends on how well does it do in streaming to see if it'll venture up to a third one or not.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a great question.
That's one way it's changed. Yeah, that's one way it's changed a lot.
Now, if they put out a third one, I'd probably watch it.
Yeah.
I'm probably not spending my money to go out to the theater to see it, unless you're just telling me you put ScarJo in there as one of the main characters. I'm probably going to go to the theater. It'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll go see ScarJo. But otherwise, I'll be like, yeah, this is a movie I'll check out. Probably
Yeah.
stream somewhere. I had
You
a
think
good
they'll?
time. I did
Yeah,
have a great time. Yeah.
yeah. That's very well put. Like I said, it's fine.
Right. Right. It was fine. It was a good use of some time to watch a fun movie, which is really what I wanted, was to watch something fun, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I watch life's way too serious not to have a good time sometimes.
Amen.
So if you were going to give this a letter grade, Joe, if you're going to grade it like you did in school, what grade are you giving this movie?
I'll give it a C just because give
Yeah,
Ridley Scott more credit. But
that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah,
I probably liked it a little better, and I will admit that opening scene. If without that opening scene,
yeah,
it probably goes much further down for me. But
it's a
that
mess.
opening
Yeah,
scene was so cool. I give it a B minus. So
yeah. Okay, that's
I
fair.
gave the first one a B plus. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was the greatest movie, but I really enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed
Yeah,
the first one more than this one.
yeah,
But I didn't hate this one. It
yeah.
wasn't, you know,
It was there.
not everything can be Aliens 2 and make it even a cooler story built upon that.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah. Empire, there's so few of those.
Yeah,
Star Trek
amen,
2. Wrath of the Khan's so
amen.
much better than the motion picture. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
Rocky too. Speaking of Rocky,
Rocky too, yeah. Where Rocky gets to win.
yeah, yeah,
And it's not quite as dry, too. I mean, the first one, especially as a kid trying to watch it, you're like, when are they going to get to the fight? Because
yeah.
like, okay, so you met a girl who's not that attractive that works at a pet store. Don't care. Let's move along.
Oh, true. I can't remember what her name was. What was her name?
She got better looking as time went on. Adrian was her name in the movie. I don't remember what her real name was.
Yeah, I
Yo,
know.
Adrian! I don't know.
Oh, that's become a
So
classic line.
it has, right? That has become a classic. I don't know if there's going to be a classic line from Gladiator 2.
Yeah,
Now, for one, you do have that classic line of, are you entertained?
yeah.
Are you entertained? And I'll say 2 entertained me at times, not to the level of 1, but it was entertained. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
call it that.
I was entertained.
Yeah, exactly. Better than watching the Chiefs lose, right?
Ugh. I knew someone was going to say it. You're
Yeah.
Dallas. You're the Cowboys, aren't you?
Hey. The Chiefs have been so much better than my Cowboys in the last
Yeah,
30 years. So, especially
yeah,
the last 10 years. So, and the Chiefs have won Super Bowls. I give them all their due.
yeah,
They are a good team. They had a bad game. And as much as I hate to say it, Philly was a really dang good team this year.
yeah. They
So
were really good.
they
Yeah,
they were stouts all over. And as a Cowboy fan, it's painful. It's painful that they won.
yeah.
And my Philly fan friends are going to tell me about it from now until eternity, because that's how long it's going to take them to win another one. So,
I still don't know why New York gave them Saquon or let Saquon
oh my
go.
gosh,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, that's for a different story.
yeah. It's a different podcast.
We can do that one too, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, okay,
So,
okay.
all right. Well, anything else you want to add about this movie, Joe?
No. This is fun. We should do it. If anybody has any comments on one you want us to do, let us know.
Yeah, let us know if you like this and what you want us to review. Next week is Joe's pick, so I'll be interested to see what we're watching for that. We will watch these movies, give you our opinions, and tell you about it. And there may be a time where we even bring lists of movies that we like. Maybe our top 10 from 1983 or something at some point.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know, right? That's
Or the best B movies.
best B movies. I love B movies. I love B movies. So
Yeah, we
yeah,
do.
we'll talk about all of that. We may talk old movies. We may talk new movies. We may talk as long as we're talking movies. This is Geeky Cinephiles because we are geeky and we do like movies. So until next week, this is Joe and I'm Larry. You guys have a great night. We'll talk to you later. Stay geeky out there.